Hello and welcome to Economic Times TV. I'm Lopamudra Ghatak from the economictimes.com, and as a part of our special coverage on BRICS Summit, we have a very distinguished guest joining in. One of India Inc.'s stellar professionals, she's been a stalwart in the financial and banking sector. She has also been one of India's representatives on the 5-member BRICS Business Council. Please join me in extending a warm welcome to Ms. Naina Lal Kidwai. Hello Ms. Kidwai and welcome to the special show. First up, let me begin by asking you, what are your expectations from the BRICS Summit? Because the summit is coming at a time when the world economy is still not completely out of the doldrums and some member nations still facing economic stress at home. So in such a scenario, what are your expectations from this summit next month?
So the fact that the world is under some pressure in terms of economic growth is a given, and that applies to some of the BRICS member countries as well. The honor really for India this year is that we are the host, and by virtue of being the host, we will have very large delegations from across the BRICS countries here in India with us, with several events that are being organized in Delhi and around the country, and then finally with the BRICS meeting in Goa. My own expectations is that it is exactly at times like this, when there's stress and pressure, that the need to come together actually is strongest, and the better chance, therefore, of these partnerships working, because we need each other more. If we were all doing well, we could have happily just let things be as they are.
So collectively you think we'll be able to focus better and we'll get more direction?
Absolutely. And if you look at the composition of BRICS, with the large economies of China, India,
right,
Russia, and Brazil, which has gone through a period which has been very difficult for it, but coming out of that as they are. And then South Africa, which brings in a lot of the growth of the Africa continent. We have a very strong thrust in terms of growth for the future. So what we're really looking to build on, and I would really touch on what we're doing more in the financial sector, because that's where I'm focused at the BRICS Business Council level, is to look at how we as the 5 countries can work better together.
More
for trade, yes, absolutely, in an operating environment. So it's for trade, for movement of money, for systems and processes that help us garner funding for our projects. And with that in focus, and the big advantage of now having the NDB, the new development bank off the ground, yes, the mirroring of the aspiration and the delivery of it is far easier.
Ms. Kidwai, as you mentioned, this is the year of India's presidency at the BRICS. So you are also on the chair of the BRICS Business Council Working Group on Financial Areas, financial services. So what would your key areas of focus be, if you could just kindly tell us about that?
So various areas were identified through the years. So this year we will take forward some of what was started under the Russian presidency. The big focus this year is on looking at setting up a unified payment system between our countries. China already has a large payment system, India's is developing, Russia has its own. Our idea is to bring these payment systems together so that we can be unified into one, using the existing systems that exist, so that the mechanisms for payment between our countries become easier. It would make trade easier. It would make particularly smaller companies that are looking to do trade amongst our countries, the exporting, the importing, the payments therein become easier. And of course, retail movement for tourists, etc., also becoming easier as a result of a unified payment system. So that's one very big initiative. A second is looking at setting up a credit rating agency, which is a BRICS rating agency. And the purpose of this is, again, really to supplement what exists elsewhere in the world. There is primarily today a very Western oriented and focused rating systems.
Right.
That's also partly because the investors into the system are also largely Western. So the key for any rating agency we set up, for example, a BRICS rating agency, has to be that the investor community has to want it, and also use it. So it's going to be important for us to first determine that demand, and we believe that is there, and then look at supplementing what exists in a manner that we fill the spaces that are needed by the investor community. So we believe that there isn't maybe enough richness in the emerging market focus that exists today. That the sort of things that we in emerging markets and in BRICS need to look at need more focus. And that is what we would actually drive as an agenda, so that we can get investor comfort for investing.
There has been a lot of talk about the need for a central credit rating agency for BRICS nations. Do you think such an agency will be able to challenge the Western monopoly that has been held by the Western countries so far? And how do you see it helping investors who are looking at more emerging markets?
Only if we make the BRICS rating agency the only rating agency we adopt. That's not what we are attempting to do. The idea is to supplement what is not available in the Western models. So it won't be isolationist, it will be to supplement, and nor can it challenge. I mean, you've got large rating agencies that rate the biggest companies in the world. A BRICS rating agency is not going to be attempting to do that. The focus is on BRICS countries to make sure that we get complete coverage, ideally even of companies that are not covered by the global system. So it could help our middle-sized companies which don't see coverage, smaller companies, maybe give a different perspective to companies that are also covered by the Western rating agencies. So in all these cases, even the NDB, when it came up, the idea was not to threaten what already exists,
but to work more cohesively,
to work in a much more collaborative way with what already exists. And the demands from us, and particularly us growing economies like China, India, Brazil, South Africa, Russia, are so high that we need everything on board, and every new thing that happens helps supplement what is not there already, or what is not there strongly enough.
Ms. Kidwai, I just wanted to ask you, what if a Brexit were to happen to the BRICS nation? In such a scenario, is BRICS equipped to handle such an eventuality? Do you think there is any measure for that?
At this stage, we're trying to come together, so we're not really envisaging the breaking.
I know, I'm being very cynical, but
if you look at it, it's a much more loose amalgam. If in fact there's been a criticism of BRICS, it's a bit of an unnatural partnership. What brings these 5 countries together other than a terminology, BRICS, and the fact that we are growth economies, unlike Europe.
Yes.
So if in fact a country were to leave or 2 more join, I don't see the threat therein, because it doesn't threaten an existing system. Each country is strong in itself. The advantage of trying to work together would mean that instead of being just the 5 of us, we could actually as a bloc be working in ways that help business between us countries and with our respective partners.
But here in this scenario, is each country also dependent on the other for
so as of now,
self-sustainable?
No, because what we're trying to build is those partnerships. Are any of us, one country, is the largest trading partner for the other? The answer is no.
No.
Could we become through support with BRICS? That's what we would like to see, that we would be much larger in material to each other than we have been thus far. But the distance we have to cover is so huge right now that the threat of separation is not a huge threat. The bigger threat is, can we make this work by coming together in a way that helps each of us respective countries. But I should just tell you that the mood is very positive. And in the meetings we had, the suggestions, the learnings from each other, the knowledge sharing, the desire to make it work is huge.
So it's a very positive environment. There's a lot of back and forth of ideas.
Very positive. So it's a couple of the new initiatives that we've put in now over our presidency this year is financial inclusion. And the other countries are very excited about learning about what we are doing in financial inclusion, because when we talked about the various programs of our government, as
your Dhan Yojana,
exactly, Dhan Yojana, the delivery through the UID system, direct cash transfers, etc. Many of the countries have expressed great interest to understand this further, and equally we are asking them to share with us what they do, so we can continue to supplement what we do and make it even better. So those sharings are huge. And the second big agenda we've put on the map is the startup environment, the innovation environment, which again India has got a whole
India has kind of taken many leaps and bounds in that.
Exactly, but the other countries have a tremendous amount of ground they have covered as well. China and Brazil in particular. So again, we are pushing to learn from them. South Africa wants to learn from what we are all doing. So these sort of sharings and coming together and the ability to maybe connect our players to get the angel network which is growing in India and the learnings from there carried forward into Brazil, into South Africa, are requests from these countries as well. So I do think that
there is a cross-germination of
ideas. Of ideas, and also help in the implementation, which could be quite useful. In the ideal scenario, you could look at innovations that happen in, say, two countries, South Africa and India, where the innovations help both, and whoever the innovator is has two markets that gives them scale and brings back a lower cost to both of us because of the scale.
That's nice. You also mentioned the new development bank earlier. So sustainable financing has been on top of all BRICS nations. So how do you see the role of the NDB panning out when it comes to sustainable financing?
So this agenda of sustainable financing was right up there for our working group, and the whole agenda was around, let's get bankable projects. All of us countries want to demonstrate that we can look at projects in the renewable space, for example, which fulfills the sustainability agenda. And in order to do that, financing is not coming that easily to these sectors. So let's look at that focus and what is needed. So we looked at instruments like credit enhancement, like ability to make sure that these projects are indeed bankable. But equally, we took our ask to the NDB. And lo and behold, the first 5 big projects that the NDB sanctioned are all of a renewable order. So I do think the NDB already has embraced this agenda in a way which we would have absolutely wanted them to. And the thrust from us will be projects for infrastructure, and yes, to the extent that they focus on being of a sustainable nature, ideally looking at energy efficiency or in the renewable space, or in the areas that are critical for us like water, then these should get priority.
So environment and energy renewal have also been a very, they've been a personal favorite with you.
Yes.
I mean, you've always had an interest, and you've devoted your energy to it. So a recent UNEP report has pitched that 2016 is supposed to be the year of green finance.
Yes.
So according to you, how do you think the market mechanisms, for strengthening green finance can happen?
Yeah. So it's a great question, and I was part of a UNEP International Advisory Council that pulled together the report on sustainable financing. And Dhan is carried forward in India chapter as a FICCI UNEP report which we have published, which gives the architecture of what we would require in India. And that architecture is everything about a rating process which enables audit and rating of what is sustainable. If you don't have the transparency visible to you as to what is meeting those criteria, then you don't even have a starting point. So we have a lot of scaling up to do there, both in terms of expertise and the capacity of people or audit firms to provide this input. So important to get the rating process in. Ideally, if we can get almost the stock markets being able to give us an indication of which companies meet some of these criteria or not.
That would be phenomenal.
Because again, if you or I are concerned, and if I have 2 cement companies I would like to invest in, I would possibly prefer the one that is certified green to the one that isn't. And it makes good business sense too.
And it starts from the top. I mean, everything is coming down right from the top, and it just trickles down.
And exactly. So if the big firms do it, then the smaller ones do it. If I as a company want to buy products only from firms which are certified green, then I would like to know that they are certified green. So whether it's a capital market indicator or an audit accounting indicator, having these indicators out there help us. The same way as when you and I first began to buy air conditioners, that when the ratings started and we knew it was energy efficient, even if it cost a little more, we paid for it.
Yes.
But what happened? Everybody's prices then dropped. So today there is no differential because everybody provides a green air conditioner. So So that's what we would like to achieve. So it is about the system. The second is about the finance available. That finance today has some products like green bonds, which have taken off. And in India, we have seen a few issuers and indeed availers of green finance. So India being part of this whole new system of green bonds, which is a global event and growing very quickly, is also quite an important agenda for us. And a third would be just the way we lend as banks, who we lend to and who we don't lend to.
A more conscious, more
Exactly.
responsibility,
Exactly.
accountability comes in
Exactly.
there. Ms. Kidwai, what would your message be to all the businesses and entrepreneurs who will be arriving in Goa and for the the BRICS Trade Fair and the BRICS Business Forum and for other events across the country? What would your message going out to them would be?
So this is a huge event where we have 5 countries sending large delegations to the trade fairs and events that are largely happening in Delhi. And the opportunity to have this interchange of meetings and indeed to see that we can build these collaborations as partner countries go is clearly a very high expectation from all the governments. It's also, I think, a tremendous opportunity for us because we have not been natural partners in the past, these 5 countries. So the opportunities to grow from a low base to a much higher one is very, very important and critical for us. Every one of the countries sees India as a huge business opportunity. So for us to profile what the India business opportunity is, to make sure that we can get some of the small and mid-sized companies to also see what opportunities lie in those other countries is really what I think our expectation would be in the business environment. On the other hand, we will also be meeting around very critical agendas which are to do with the infrastructure of the financial sector, which is to do with the payment systems, to do with the innovation environment, and to do with everything in the ratings process for a BRICS rating agency to come up. And therefore, having our experts available on the ground in Delhi, as in our Indian credit rating agencies, our payment systems are all going to be on display as well. So for India to lead this year and leave its stamp on the BRICS economic agenda is something which we will be looking to, and on the back of that, to create a lot more engagement in the business community across our 5 countries.
And on that note, it's time for us to wrap this special show. From all of us here at Economic Times TV, it's bye for now. But keep watching and don't forget to log on to www.economictimes.com for more news updates.